Welcome to our channel. History Lessons 1-4-9. Australia's history is rich and diverse, spanning tens of thousands of years. Here's a brief overview. 1. Indigenous Australia, before 1788. Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples. Australia's history begins with the indigenous peoples, who have lived on the continent for at least 65,000 years. They developed diverse cultures, languages, and ways of life, with deep spiritual connections to the land and sea. Cultural diversity. Aboriginal Australians, mainland, and Torres Strait Islanders, from the islands between the northern tip of Queensland and Papua New Guinea, each have distinct cultural and linguistic groups, with sophisticated social systems, art, and traditions. 2. European exploration, 1606 to 1770. Early encounters. The first recorded European sighting of Australia was in 1606 by Dutch navigator Willem Janszoon. Other Dutch explorers followed, mapping parts of the western coast. Captain James Cook. In 1770, British Captain James Cook charted the eastern coast, claiming it for Britain and naming it New South Wales. 3. British colonization, 1788 to 1901. First Fleet. 1788. The British established their first colony in Australia with the arrival of the First Fleet at Port Jackson, modern-day Sydney, in 1788. The colony was originally founded as a penal settlement, as Britain needed to relieve overcrowding in its prisons. Expansion and dispossession. As the colony expanded, conflicts arose with the indigenous population, leading to the loss of land and devastating impacts on their communities. This period saw the introduction of European diseases, which decimated indigenous populations. Convict transportation. Between 1788 and 1868, more than 80,000 convicts were transported to Australia. Convict labor helped build the colony's infrastructure, including roads, prisons, and public buildings. 4. Gold rush and expansion, 1850s-1901. Gold rush. The discovery of gold in the 1850s sparked mass immigration and rapid economic development. This period also saw the growth of Australian cities and the expansion of European settlement into new areas. Self-government. As the colonies grew, they moved towards self-governance. By the 1850s, each colony had its own elected government and constitution. Federation. On January 1, 1901, the 6 British colonies federated to form the Commonwealth of Australia, becoming a unified nation within the British Empire. 5. 20th century, World War I, World War II, and nationhood. World War I, 1914 to 1918. Australia entered World War I as part of the British Empire. The Anzac, Australian and New Zealand Army Corps, campaign at Gallipoli in 1915 became a defining moment in Australian national identity. World War II, 1939 to 1945. Australia fought alongside the Allies in World War II. The war also led to closer ties with the United States, particularly after the threat of Japanese invasion in the Pacific. Post-war immigration. After World War II, Australia experienced a wave of immigration, particularly from Europe, which significantly transformed its demographic makeup. 6. Modern Australia, late 20th century, present. Economic growth. The post-war period saw economic prosperity, urbanization, and the development of a multicultural society. Australia also became more independent in foreign policy and politics, gradually moving away from British influence. Indigenous rights. The late 20th century saw increased activism for indigenous rights. The landmark 1967 referendum allowed Indigenous Australians to be counted in the census, and the 1992 Mabwa decision legally recognized native land rights. Republic debate. In 1999, Australia held a referendum on whether to become a republic and remove the British monarch as the head of state. The proposal was defeated, but debates on the issue continue. 7. Contemporary Australia. Australia is a stable, developed nation with a high standard of living and a diverse, multicultural society. It is known for its natural beauty, including iconic landmarks such as the Great Barrier Reef, Uluru, and the outback. Australia plays an active role in international organizations, including the United Nations, and has a strong economy, with industries such as mining, agriculture, technology, and tourism. Key themes in Australian history. Indigenous rights and recognition. The struggle for Indigenous Australians' rights and recognition, including land rights, self-determination, and reconciliation, remains a central issue. Immigration. Australia's diverse population is a result of waves of immigration, from European settlers to more recent arrivals from Asia and the Pacific. Nationhood and identity. Australia's national identity has evolved, balancing its British heritage with a unique Australian culture, often shaped by the outback, the beach, and a spirit of egalitarianism. This is a high-level summary, but Australian history is rich with many more layers and stories that are central to understanding its cultural and political evolution. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like this video and subscribe our channel.